Blood drained from Nathan Reed's face as he watched billions disappear from his screens. Across town, a shivering girl peered through a restaurant window, clutching a stolen laptop. Their worlds couldn't be more different, yet in the next 24 hours, their fates would intertwine in ways no one could imagine. We'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop a comment below and hit that like and subscribe button for more incredible stories of unlikely connections. Nathan Reed slammed his fist on the mahogany desk, shattering the crystal paperweight. Blood trickled between his knuckles, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the nightmare unfolding on his screens. His entire financial empire, 8 Lars, 3 billion in carefully managed assets, was hemorrhaging before his eyes. "Sir, we've identified the breach," his head of cybersecurity, Marcus, announced from the doorway. "It's sophisticated. Someone's systematically transferring ownership of your majority shares across all holdings." "I don't care how sophisticated it is, stop it!" Nathan roared, his designer suit suddenly feeling like a straitjacket. Marcus hesitated. "We can't, sir. The transfers are all technically legal. They're using your authorization codes." Nathan froze. Only 3 people had those codes. Himself, his chief financial officer, Richard, and Vanessa, he whispered. As if summoned by the mention of her name, his phone lit up with her incoming video call. With trembling fingers, Nathan accepted. "Hello, darling." Vanessa's perfect red lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Behind her, Nathan recognized Richard's familiar silhouette. "What have you done?" Nathan's voice was barely audible. "Corrected an imbalance," Vanessa replied coolly. "Your shares are being redistributed to various charities. Isn't that wonderful? You're about to become the world's most generous philanthropist. This is insanity." "You can't." "Actually, I can. We can. Remember last month when you were indisposed after too much champagne? You signed several documents, very legitimate, very binding." The memories flooded back. His birthday celebration. The documents Vanessa had insisted needed immediate attention. His careless signatures. "You have approximately 12 hours before the final transfers complete," Vanessa continued. 12 hours to say goodbye to being Nathan Reed, billionaire tech mogul. "Don't worry, though, you'll still have your penthouse. For now." The call ended, leaving Nathan staring at his reflection in the black screen. 42 years old, and everything he'd built since dropping out of MIT at 19 was being stripped away. "Sir?" Marcus prompted. "What do we do?" Nathan straightened his tie, a habit from countless boardroom battles. "Get me the best hackers in the country now. That would take days to arrange, and we have hours. Then hack it back. Override the system. It's your own security protocol, sir. You designed it specifically to prevent that kind of intervention." Nathan grabbed his keys. "Keep trying. I'm going to find Vanessa." As he stepped into the elevator, Nathan's phone chimed with a text message from an unknown number. "Sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. Look for the girl with nothing who understands everything." The cryptic message left him bewildered as the elevator descended, carrying him toward a confrontation that would change everything, though not in any way he could possibly imagine. 7-year-old Lily huddled in the narrow alley between Gino's Italian restaurant and the towering office building next door. The November wind bit through her threadbare coat and her stomach growled painfully. 3 days since her last real meal, half a sandwich discarded by a businessman in a hurry. This hadn't been her life for long. Just 8 months ago, she'd had a home, a mother who tucked her in at night, and shelves full of books about computers and math. Then came the accident, the funeral she barely comprehended, and the distant relatives who took her in, only to abandon her when her cough became too persistent, too expensive to treat. Lily was smart enough to avoid foster care. She'd heard stories. So she ran, surviving on her wits in the unforgiving streets of Boston. Tonight, she was eyeing the back door of Gino's, waiting for the moment when the chef stepped out for his cigarette break. That's when she'd dart in, grab whatever food she could, and disappear into the night again. The door swung open right on schedule. The heavy-set chef emerged, pulled out his cigarette and wandered toward the street, seeking shelter from the wind. Lily counted to 3, then slipped inside. The kitchen was warm, a blessed relief from the bitter cold. Working quickly, Lily spotted a plate of freshly baked rolls. She grabbed 2, stuffing one in her pocket and biting into the other. "Hey, what are you doing in here?" A young waiter appeared from the dining area. Lily froze, breadcrumbs on her chapped lips. Instead of shouting for help, the waiter's expression softened. "Hungry, huh?" He glanced over his shoulder, then quickly wrapped several rolls in a napkin. "Take these and this." He added a container of pasta. "Now scram before Tony gets back." Clutching her treasure, Lily darted back outside and collided with a man in an expensive suit pacing frantically while talking on his phone. "I don't care what it takes," he was saying. "If we don't stop these transfers, everything is gone by morning." The man barely glanced at Lily as she stumbled back. His laptop bag swung open with the impact, revealing a sleek computer inside. "Sorry, mister," Lily mumbled, her eyes fixed on the device. How long had it been since she'd touched a computer? Her mother had taught her so much about them, called her a natural programmer. The man waved her off, continuing his urgent conversation, oblivious to the longing in her eyes. Lily retreated to her hidden corner with her food, but she couldn't tear her gaze away from the man. He was now sitting on a bench outside the restaurant, frantically typing on his laptop, occasionally running his hands through his perfectly styled hair. Something about his desperate movements reminded Lily of herself. That same panic she'd felt when she realized she was truly alone in the world. She inched closer, staying in the shadows, watching the screens over his shoulder. Lines of code scrolled by, and despite everything, Lily smiled. Code was familiar. Code made sense when nothing else did. And in that code, she spotted something no one else would have noticed. A tiny flaw, a back door someone had deliberately left open. Nathan Reed was running out of options. 4 hours had passed since Vanessa's call, and his technical team had made 0 progress. Each system they tried to breach locked them out more aggressively, a cruel reminder that Nathan had built his security protocols to be impenetrable. "We're being counted at every turn, sir," Marcus reported via phone. "Whoever Vanessa hired knows your systems intimately." "It's Richard," Nathan growled, staring at his laptop screen in the cold night air outside Gino's. He'd sought refuge here after Vanessa wasn't at her apartment, hoping the familiar environment where he'd coded his first successful program might spark some inspiration. He helped design these protocols. The restaurant had been his regular haunt during his early days as a struggling entrepreneur. Now, as a billionaire about to lose everything, he found himself back where it all began. "Mr. Reed," a small voice interrupted his thoughts. Nathan looked up to find a tiny girl with tangled brown hair and eyes too old for her young face standing before him. Her coat was several sizes too large, dirty and torn at the sleeves. "Whatever you're selling, kid, I'm not interested," he muttered, turning back to his screen. "You have a data breach," she said simply. "Someone's using legitimate credentials with a hidden override code." Nathan's head snapped up. "What did you say?" "I saw your screen," she explained, pointing to his laptop. "The problem isn't in your main security protocol. It's a shell program disguised as regular system maintenance. See?" She reached over, her small finger pointing to a line of code he'd been staring at for the past hour. "Don't touch my—" Nathan began, but stopped as the pattern suddenly became clear. The girl was right. There it was, hidden in plain sight. "How did you—" "My mom taught me coding. She worked for Tech Fusion before she died." She always said the best place to hide something is where everyone expects to see regular activity. Nathan studied her more carefully. The girl was rail-thin, her cheeks hollow. A painful cough interrupted her explanation, making her small body shake. "What's your name?" "Lily," she replied between coughs. "Where are your parents, Lily?" "Mom died in January, car accident. Dad left when I was 2. "And you're living." Nathan glanced at the alley behind them. Lily shrugged. "I manage." You do. The absurdity of the situation wasn't lost on Nathan. Here he was, a billionaire on the verge of losing everything, getting coding advice from a homeless child. "If you let me try something," Lily said hesitantly, "I think I can help." Every instinct screamed against letting a street kid touch his secure systems. Yet something in her confident expression reminded Nathan of himself at a young age, certain of his abilities despite what others might think. "What do you have in mind?" he asked. Lily pointed to a sequence. "This back door they created? It works both ways. They didn't close their own access point if we trace it back and insert a counter protocol." Her small fingers hovered over the keyboard, waiting for permission. Nathan found himself nodding. "Show me." Vanessa Brooks sipped champagne in Richard's downtown loft, watching the financial transfers progress on multiple screens. Each bar that filled represented another chunk of Nathan's empire being redirected to their network of shell charities, from which they would later redirect the funds back to themselves. 8 years, she said, swirling her glass. 8 years I spent with that arrogant, self-absorbed man, and he never once put my name on anything substantial. Richard adjusted his glasses, eyes fixed on the numbers. "You were too good for him, always were. He never appreciated your business acumen." "Well, he's about to appreciate it now," Vanessa laughed coldly. "By morning, Nathan Reed will join the ranks of ordinary millionaires, while we control his empire from behind the scenes." Their celebration was interrupted by a sharp ping from the main monitor. Richard frowned, leaning forward. "That's odd," he muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Someone's accessing the transfer protocols." "Nathan's tech team?" "No, this is different. They're not trying to stop the transfers directly. They're—" His expression changed to one of alarm. "They're tracing our back door." Vanessa set down her glass. "That's impossible. You said no one could detect it." "No one should be able to. It's hidden within routine maintenance." Richard's explanation cut off as his screen suddenly went dark, replaced by a simple text message. "Stealing is wrong. Especially from someone who trusted you." "What the hell?" Vanessa moved to stand behind him. "Who's doing this?" Richard's hands shook slightly as he attempted to regain control. "I don't know, but they're good, really good. They've locked me out of my own system." Across town, Lily's small fingers danced across Nathan's keyboard with surprising speed and precision. Her eyes never left the screen as she navigated through layers of code that would baffle most professional programmers. "How are you doing this?" Nathan asked, watching in astonishment as she systematically isolated and neutralized the threat to his assets. "It's like a puzzle," Lily explained, pausing to cough. "My mum used to give me coding puzzles instead of bedtime stories. She said I had a gift." Her voice caught on the word mom, but her fingers never stopped moving. Nathan noticed her shivering despite the determined concentration on her face. Without a word, he removed his cashmere coat and draped it over her shoulders. Lily startled at the gesture but didn't break her focus. "There," she said finally, hitting the enter key with flourish. "I've reversed their access and locked them out of your systems. The transfers are stopped, and I've started rolling back the ones already in progress." Nathan stared at the screen in disbelief as the confirmation messages began appearing one after another. Assets returning, ownership rights restored, security protocols reinstating with new protections. "Lily, this is incredible. You just saved my entire company, $8 billion worth of assets." She looked up at him with those serious eyes. "Is that a lot?" The question, asked with such innocent sincerity, made Nathan laugh for the first time all day. "Yes, Lily, that's quite a lot." "Oh," she nodded thoughtfully. "My mom used to say money doesn't matter as much as having a warm place to sleep." Another bout of coughing seized her, more severe this time. Nathan felt something unfamiliar stir within him. Concern. Genuine concern for another person that had nothing to do with what they could do for him. "Lily, where have you been staying?" he asked gently. She gestured vaguely toward the alley. "I have a spot behind the dumpster. It blocks the wind mostly." Richard slammed his fist against the desk as their carefully constructed plan unraveled before his eyes. "Impossible! They're not just blocking us. They're reversing everything." Vanessa paced the room, her perfect composure cracking. "Can you stop them?" "I'm trying," he growled, frantically typing commands that were immediately rejected. "Whoever this is, they're using techniques I've never seen before. It's like they're thinking 10 steps ahead." "It has to be Nathan," Vanessa insisted. "He must have hired someone." Richard shook his head. "In 4 hours? No. This is something else entirely." The screen suddenly displayed a new message. "All transfers reversed. All access revoked. Evidence of fraud preserved." "Evidence?" Vanessa's voice rose. "What evidence?" "They've been documenting our entire operation as they dismantled it," Richard whispered, face ashen. "Every move we made, every shell company, every forged authorization, it's all been catalogued and time-stamped. They've created a perfect record for prosecution." Outside Gino's restaurant, Lily finished the last command sequence, her small hands finally stilling on the keyboard. The program executed perfectly, creating backup copies of all evidence on secure servers beyond Richard and Vanessa's reach. "Done," she announced, her voice raspy from coughing. "Your money's safe now. I also made it harder for anyone to try this again." Nathan stared at her, this child who'd accomplished in 2 hours what his entire security team couldn't manage. "Lily, I don't know how to thank you." She looked up at him with unexpected shyness. Can I have a blanket? A real one? Mine got stolen last week." The simplicity of her request struck Nathan like a physical blow. He, who had just nearly lost billions, sat beside a child who wanted nothing more than a blanket to ward off the November chill. "Yes," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Yes, of course you can have a blanket." He hesitated, then added, "But first, I think we should get that cough checked out. Would you let me take you to a doctor?" Lily's eyes widened with fear. "They'll call social services. I don't want to go to foster care." "No one's going to take you anywhere you don't want to go," Nathan assured her, surprising himself with how much he meant it. "I have considerable influence in this city. We'll figure something out." His phone buzzed. Marcus calling with updates. Nathan answered quickly, explaining that the crisis was averted thanks to an unexpected consultant. "Sir," Marcus began hesitantly, "the police just called. They've arrested Vanessa and Richard attempting to board a private jet at Logan Airport. They're claiming they have rights to your assets." "Send them the evidence file that was just created," Nathan instructed. "And Marcus, I need you to arrange something else. I need the best pediatric doctor in Boston immediately, and find out what's involved in becoming a temporary guardian for a minor." He ended the call to find Lily watching him with a puzzled expression. "Why are you being nice to me?" she asked simply. Nathan considered the question carefully. "Because you helped me when you had no reason to, because you're brilliant and brave, and because I think we might be able to help each other." "I'm not very good at accepting help," Lily admitted. "Mom said I was too stubborn." "I understand that completely," Nathan smiled. "I'm the same way. But sometimes, Lily, the bravest thing we can do is let someone else step in when we need it." A violent coughing spell overtook her, and Nathan noticed with alarm that she was burning with fever. Without hesitation, he gathered her small form in his arms. "First the doctor, then we'll talk about blankets," he said gently, "and maybe hot chocolate too. What do you think?" For the first time, Lily's serious face broke into a genuine smile. I think that sounds okay. The private room at Boston Children's Hospital was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors. Lily slept peacefully after a battery of tests, her tiny form almost lost in the hospital bed. Nathan sat beside her, conference calls and crisis management temporarily forgotten as he watched her chest rise and fall. Mr. Reed, Dr. Martinez entered with a tablet in hand. We have Lily's results. Nathan straightened. How bad is it? Pneumonia, fairly advanced. She's severely malnourished and shows signs of prolonged exposure to the elements. The doctor's expression was professional but concerned. With proper treatment, she'll recover, but she needs consistent care and a stable environment. She'll have it, Nathan said without hesitation. Doctor. Martinez studied him curiously. The hospital administrator mentioned you've been making inquiries about temporary guardianship. Yes, is that a problem? Not at all, it's just unexpected, given your profile. Nathan understood the unspoken question. Why would Nathan Reed, notorious workaholic and self-centered billionaire, suddenly take interest in a homeless child? She saved my company tonight, he explained, glancing at Lily's sleeping form. But that's not why I'm helping her. She reminded me of something I'd forgotten. Before the doctor could respond, Nathan's phone buzzed. His assistant's text read, "Emergency board meeting called for 9 a.m. Members questioning your stability after tonight's events." The irony wasn't lost on him. For the first time in years, he was thinking clearly, and his board was questioning his sanity. Dr. Martinez, can you recommend a social worker? Someone who genuinely cares about placing children in good environments, not just clearing cases? The doctor nodded. Actually, yes. My sister-in-law, Eleanor, she specializes in difficult placements. I can call her now if you'd like. Please do. As the doctor left, Lily stirred, her eyes fluttering open. Mr. Reed? You're still here? I said I would be, Nathan replied, moving closer to her bedside. How are you feeling? Better. They gave me medicine that didn't taste like cherry. She made a face that reminded Nathan she was, despite her extraordinary abilities, still a child. What happens now? It was the question Nathan had been asking himself all night. His life had been turned upside down twice, first by betrayal, then by unexpected salvation. The answer came with surprising clarity. Well, you need time to recover. And I need someone with your unique perspective helping me rebuild my security systems. I thought perhaps we could help each other out. Lily regarded him with that unnervingly direct gaze. You want me to work for you? I'm 7. Nathan laughed. Not exactly. I was thinking more along the lines of a mentorship. I could teach you about business. You could remind me about things that matter more than money. Like blankets? She asked with the hint of a smile. Like blankets, he agreed, and having someone to count on. A knock at the door interrupted them. Elena Vasquez, the social worker, entered with a warm smile. Nathan was struck by how different she seemed from what he'd expected. Genuine compassion rather than bureaucratic indifference. Mr. Reed, doctor. Martinez briefed me on the situation, she said, then turned to Lily. And you must be the extraordinary young lady I've been hearing about. Lily shrank back slightly, suspicious of this new adult. It's okay, Nathan reassured her. Ms. Vasquez is here to help us figure out what happens next. She's not going to send you anywhere you don't want to go. I promised, remember? Elena sat down, her manner gentle but direct. Lily, I understand you've been through a lot. Would it be okay if we talked about finding you a safe place to stay while you get better? Can I stay with Mr. Reed? Lily asked unexpectedly. Both adults looked surprised. You want to stay with me? Nathan asked. Lily nodded. You're the only person since Mom who kept their promise. 3 weeks later, Nathan stood at the window of his penthouse, watching the first December snow blanket Boston. Behind him, his living room had been transformed. Gone were the sleek, minimalist furnishings favored by his decorator. In their place stood a Christmas tree, the first he'd had in his home since leaving his parents' house at 17. Lily sat cross-legged beneath it, surrounded by programming books, her laptop balanced on her knees. The pneumonia had responded well to treatment, and though still thin, her cheeks had a healthy glow that had been absent when they first met. "Nathan?" she called, not looking up from her screen. She dropped the formal Mr. Reed after the first week. "I think I found another vulnerability in your banking system." He smiled to himself. Their temporary guardianship arrangement, facilitated by Elena, had evolved into something neither had expected. Nathan had converted his home office into a bedroom for Lily, filled with books, warm blankets, no fewer than 6, and the most advanced computer equipment money could buy. His board of directors had been skeptical at first. Nathan Reed, notorious for his single-minded focus on business, suddenly playing guardian to a child. But as the days passed and Nathan continued to make sound business decisions, better ones, arguably, than before, their concerns had faded. "Show me," he said, joining her beneath the tree. Lily scooted closer, pointing to her screen. "See this authentication protocol? It works fine for normal transactions, but if someone tried to initiate multiple microtransactions simultaneously," she demonstrated with a few keystrokes, "they could theoretically overload the verification system." Nathan watched her work, marveling not for the first time at her extraordinary mind. "How did you figure this out?" Lily shrugged. "I just think about how I would try to break it if I were the bad guy." A knock at the door interrupted them. Elena Vasquez entered, her arms laden with file folders. "Sorry I'm late," she called, setting down her burden. "The judge had questions about our petition." Nathan felt his chest tighten. Today was the day they'd find out if their temporary arrangement could become permanent, if Nathan's petition for full legal guardianship would be approved. Lily immediately abandoned her computer, rushing to Elena. "What did the judge say? Can I stay?" Elena knelt to Lily's level, her expression serious. "The judge reviewed everything very carefully. Your medical reports, the educational assessment, Mr. Reed's background check, and the home study I conducted." "And?" Nathan prompted, unable to bear the suspense. Elena's serious expression melted into a smile. "The petition is approved. Congratulations, you two." Lily's delighted squeal filled the penthouse as she launched herself at Nathan, nearly knocking him over with the force of her embrace. He caught her, lifting her high in celebration, his own laughter joining hers. "There are some conditions," Eleanor continued, producing official papers from her bag. "Lily needs to be enrolled in school by next semester, though given her assessment results, we're recommending an accelerated program. And you'll need to complete parenting classes, Mr. Reed." "Parenting classes," Nathan echoed, setting Lily down. "Standard requirement for first-time guardians," Eleanor explained, "especially those with limited experience with children." Rather than the indignation Elena might have expected, Nathan nodded thoughtfully. "Makes sense. I want to do this right." A notification chimed on Nathan's phone. A news alert. Vanessa Brooks and Richard Taylor, indicted on charges of corporate espionage and fraud. He showed the screen to Eleanor. "Their trial starts next month. I'll need to testify." "Will I have to?" Lily asked, suddenly anxious. "No, sweetheart," Nathan assured her, the endearment coming naturally now. "The evidence you gathered speaks for itself. You don't need to be involved." Lily visibly relaxed, returning to her spot beneath the tree. Elena watched the interaction with approval. "You've both come a long way in 3 weeks," she observed quietly. "The court made the right decision." Nathan nodded, his gaze fixed on Lily. "Best decision I never planned to make," he replied. "Absolutely not." Nathan's voice echoed through the penthouse. "It's too dangerous." Lily stood before him, arms crossed, her expression stubborn. 6 months had passed since she'd come into his life, transforming his existence in ways he'd never imagined. She'd grown 2 inches, gained 10 much-needed pounds, and flourished under the specialized educational program Elena had helped arrange. And now she wanted to testify against Vanessa and Richard. "I was there," she insisted. "I saw the code. I reversed it. The jury needs to hear it from me. The prosecution has our written statements and all the digital evidence." Nathan countered. "There's no need for you to face them in court. Their lawyer is saying you fabricated everything to frame them because Vanessa broke up with you. People believe it, Nathan. I've seen the news." Nathan ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Lily now recognized as his tell for extreme frustration. He'd been more stressed than usual lately, the trial dragging on longer than anyone had anticipated. Vanessa had hired Carl Denham, a defense attorney famous for his theatrical courtroom tactics and ruthless cross-examinations. "Lily, you don't understand what these people are capable of. Denham would tear you apart on the stand. He'd twist everything you say." "I'm not scared of him," Lily declared, though her slightly trembling hands betrayed her. "I'm scared of those people getting away with what they did." The doorbell interrupted their standoff. Elena entered, immediately sensing the tension. "Custody dispute?" she joked weakly. "Lily wants to testify at the trial," Nathan explained, pacing the room. "I won't allow it." Elena set down her bag, regarding them both thoughtfully. In the months since the guardianship had been approved, she'd remained a constant presence, providing guidance as Nathan navigated the unfamiliar waters of raising a child. What had begun as professional oversight had evolved into genuine friendship. "Lily," she said carefully, "testifying in court is very different from anything you've experienced. It can be traumatic even for adults." "I know," Lily acknowledged, "but it's the right thing to do. Mom always said you have to do what's right, even when it's hard." Nathan stopped pacing, struck by her words. They were the same principles he'd abandoned somewhere along his path to billions, principles Lily was now reminding him of. "What if," Elena suggested, "we arrange for Lily to give a deposition instead? It would be recorded in a more private setting, with fewer people present. The jury would still hear her testimony." Nathan considered this compromise. Would that satisfy the court? "I'd need to speak with the prosecutor, but I believe so. It's commonly done to protect minors." Lily brightened. "Like in Law and Order? When they interview the kids in the special room?" Both adults stared at her. "What?" she shrugged. "Sometimes I watch TV when you're on business calls." Nathan laughed, despite himself. "We need to discuss your viewing habits later." Eleanor made a few calls, stepping onto the balcony for privacy. When she returned, her expression was cautiously optimistic. "The prosecutor is amenable. She thinks Lily's testimony could be decisive. Vanessa and Richard's entire defense hinges on claiming Nathan fabricated the evidence after the fact." "When would this happen?" Nathan asked. "Tomorrow morning. The trial resumes in the afternoon." "So soon?" Nathan's protective instincts flared. "It has to be," Elena explained. "The prosecution rests their case tomorrow." Lily approached Nathan, taking his hand in her much smaller one. "I need to do this," she said simply. "You promised you'd never make me do anything I don't want to do. Does that work both ways?" Nathan knelt to her level, meeting her eyes. "When did you get so wise?" "Ah, probably around the time you got so stubborn," she replied with a mischievous grin that reminded him she was, despite her intellect, still very much a child. "All right," he conceded, "but I'll be there the entire time." Lily's face lit up with victory. "Can I wear my blue dress, the one with the pockets?" "Buckets are very important for court appearances," Elena said solemnly, winking at Nathan over Lily's head. Later, after Lily had gone to bed, Nathan found Elena still working at the dining room table. "You think I'm overprotective," he stated, rather than asked. Elena closed her laptop. I think you're learning. It's a delicate balance, keeping her safe while letting her make her own choices. No one gets it perfect. I can't lose her, Elena, he admitted quietly. She's become everything. Elena studied him for a long moment. You know, when we first met, I wasn't convinced this arrangement would work. A bachelor billionaire and a homeless child. It seemed like a disaster waiting to happen. What changed your mind? I saw the way you looked at her in that hospital room. Not like she was a charity case or a responsibility. Like she was a miracle you never saw coming. Nathan smiled faintly. That's exactly what she is. The deposition room felt sterile and tense. Lily sat at the head of a long table, looking impossibly small in her blue dress with the treasured pockets. Nathan and Elena flanked her protectively, while the prosecutor, defense attorney, and court reporter occupied the opposite end. A video camera recorded everything, its red light a constant reminder of the stakes. State your name for the record, the prosecutor, Ms. Patel, instructed gently. Lily Elizabeth Morales, she replied, her voice stronger than Nathan had expected. And how old are you, Lily? 8 years old. She'd celebrated her birthday the previous month with her first ever proper party, complete with other gifted children from her specialized program. Carl Denham, Vanessa's attorney, interrupted. I'd like to note for the record my continuing objection to testimony from a minor in this case. So noted, Ms. Patel replied crisply. Lily, can you tell us about the night of November 17th last year? How did you meet Mr. Reed? Lily glanced at Nathan, who nodded encouragingly. She took a deep breath and began recounting the events. Her time on the streets, spotting Nathan outside the restaurant, recognizing the code on his screen. Nathan marveled at her recall. Every detail was precise, from the exact nature of the backdoor protocol to the methods she'd used to reverse engineer the attack. She spoke with confidence and clarity that belied her age, using technical terminology that had the court reporter asking for clarifications. When she finished describing how she documented the evidence, Ms. Patel smiled. Thank you, Lily. That was very clear. I have no further questions at this time. Denham rose, straightening his expensive tie. Nathan tensed, feeling Eleanor's hand on his arm in silent caution. Miss Morales, Denham began, his tone condescending. That's quite a story. How can we be certain you haven't simply been coached to say these things by Mr. Reed? Lily tilted her head. Because I'm telling the truth. Ah, but the truth from whose perspective? You're living in Mr. Reed's home now, aren't you? That's quite a step up from the streets, a powerful motivation to say what he wants you to say. Nathan's jaw clenched, but before he could object, Lily responded. If I wanted to lie to get things, I wouldn't have asked just for a blanket after saving his company. I would have asked for a pony or Disney World. A surprised laugh escaped Ms. Patel, quickly stifled. Denham's expression hardened. Let's discuss your alleged technical expertise. You expect this court to believe that a 7-year-old, I was 7 then, I'm 8 now, Lily corrected. Denham continued as if she hadn't spoken. Possess the skills to counteract sophisticated financial security protocols that Mr. Reed's own team of professional programmers couldn't address. Sometimes kids see things adults miss, Lily replied simply, like in the story of the Emperor's new clothes. Denham's patronizing smile vanished. This isn't a fairy tale, Ms. Morales. This is a serious criminal proceeding. I know. Lily met his gaze steadily. That's why I'm telling the truth. My mum taught me about programming since I was 4. She said I had a gift. Her voice wavered slightly at the mention of her mother. The code they used wasn't that complicated once you saw the pattern. Denham changed tactics. And these skills, did you ever use them for other purposes? Perhaps to access systems you shouldn't have, to take things that weren't yours. Objection, Ms. Patel interjected. Counsel is badgering the witness and implying criminal conduct without basis. I'm establishing credibility, Denham countered. No, you're trying to intimidate a child, Nathan snapped, unable to contain himself any longer. The prosecutor raised a hand to silence him. Mr. Reed, please. Lily remained composed. I only took food when I was starving, she said quietly, and I only helped Mr. Reed because someone was stealing from him. That's wrong. Denham leaned forward. What's convenient is how no one can verify your extraordinary abilities except Mr. Reed, who benefits directly from this narrative. Lily reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I thought you might say that, so I wrote something for you. She slid the paper across the table. Denham unfolded it with visible skepticism. What is this supposed to be? The password to your private email account, Lily stated calmly. I figured it out yesterday when you checked your phone during the courtroom break. I saw your finger patterns and worked backward. I didn't look at your emails, though. That would be wrong. The color drained from Denham's face as he stared at the paper. The password was correct. Now do you believe I can do what I say I can do? Lily asked innocently. The courtroom fell silent as the jury foreman stood. On the count of corporate espionage and attempted fraud, we find the defendants, Vanessa Brooks and Richard Taylor, guilty. A collective exhale seemed to pass through the room. Nathan felt Lily squeeze his hand from where she sat beside him in the gallery. They'd won. The judge proceeded with sentencing details, but Nathan barely heard the specifics. His focus was on Vanessa, who had turned to stare directly at him from the defendant's table, her eyes burning with hatred. Richard stared straight ahead, his expression vacant. As the court adjourned and people began filing out, Nathan guided Lily toward the exit, Elena following close behind. They'd nearly reached the doors when Vanessa's voice rang out. You think this is over, Nathan? This is just the beginning. Court officers moved to restrain her as she continued shouting. She doesn't belong with you. You're not capable of loving anyone but yourself. Lily flinched at the outburst. Nathan quickly ushered her through the doors into the hallway where reporters had gathered, eager for statements. Mr. Reed! Is it true your fortune was saved by a homeless child? Lily, how does it feel to be a hero? Mr. Reed, are the adoption rumors true? Nathan froze at the last question. He'd been so focused on the trial, he hadn't had time to consider what came next. The guardianship was secure, but adoption was something they hadn't discussed. Elena stepped forward, shielding them both. Mr. Reed and Lily have no comment at this time. Please respect their privacy. They made their way through the crowd to the waiting car, where Nathan's driver quickly pulled away from the courthouse. What did that lady mean? Lily asked after several minutes of silence. About it not being over. Nathan exchanged a glance with Elena in the rearview mirror. Vanessa is angry, sweetheart. People say things they don't mean when they're angry. Lily considered this. Like when I said I hated math last week because the problems were too easy. Something like that, Nathan smiled, relieved by her resilience. And what about the adoption thing? What does that mean? The directness of her question shouldn't have surprised him. Lily never skirted difficult topics. Adoption is a legal process, Elena explained carefully. It would make your arrangement with Nathan permanent, more than guardianship, like I would really be your daughter. Lily asked, looking up at Nathan, his heart constricted. In the eyes of the law, yes, but Lily, we don't have to decide anything right now. The guardianship is working well and... But do you want to? She pressed. Adopt me? Nathan met her earnest gaze. How could he explain that he'd been thinking about it for months? That he'd consulted with lawyers about the process? That the only thing holding him back was fear that she might someday regret being permanently tied to him? I think, he began carefully, that whatever we decide, it should be because it's right for you. Your happiness is what matters most. Lily appeared to contemplate this deeply. I am happy, happier than I've been since Mom died. Then that's enough for now, Nathan assured her, though his heart raced with possibilities. The car pulled into the underground garage of Reed Tower, where Nathan's corporate offices occupied the top 10 floors. The penthouse was another 20 minutes across town, but Nathan needed to collect some documents before heading home. Just a quick stop, he promised, as they rode the executive elevator to the 50th floor. The offices were mostly empty, the workday having ended hours ago. Nathan led Lily and Elena to his private suite, where his assistant, Jessica, waited with a stack of papers requiring his signature. "Congratulations on the verdict," she said warmly. "Everything's ready for your review." As Nathan worked through the documents, Lily wandered to the floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a panoramic view of Boston. "It's so pretty from up here," she murmured. "You can't even see the alleys." The simple observation hit Nathan like a physical blow. While he'd been building his empire in glass towers, people like Lily had been struggling in shadows he'd never bothered to notice. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This isn't over. You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you, starting with the girl." Nathan's blood ran cold. He glanced up sharply, but Lily remained safely by the windows, Elena beside her pointing out landmarks. He quickly showed the message to Jessica, who immediately contacted security. "Should we alert the police?" she whispered. "Yes," Nathan decided. "And call my head of security. I want the residential protocols upgraded immediately." He moved to join Lily, positioning himself between her and the elevator doors. "Ready to go home?" he asked, keeping his voice deliberately light. Lily nodded, oblivious to the threat. "Can we get ice cream on the way?" "Absolutely," he agreed, even as his mind raced with contingency plans. "Whatever flavor you want." As they left the building under increased security, Nathan made a silent vow. Vanessa's threats wouldn't touch Lily. He would make sure of it, no matter the cost. 2 weeks after the trial, Nathan sat in his home office, reviewing security upgrade proposals. Vanessa's threat had prompted him to transform the penthouse into a virtual fortress, with state-of-the-art surveillance and restricted access protocols. Elena had helped him balance security with normalcy for Lily's sake. The last thing he wanted was for her to feel imprisoned by his protective measures. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Lily entered, laptop in hand, her expression unusually serious. "Nathan, I need to show you something." She placed her computer on his desk, displaying a social media page. It took Nathan a moment to recognize it as Vanessa's private account, one that shouldn't have been accessible given her incarceration. "How did you—" he began, then shook his head. "Never mind. What am I looking at?" "These messages." Lily pointed to a series of exchanges between Vanessa and an unknown account. "They're coded, but I figured it out. They're planning something about me." Nathan scrolled through the cryptic messages, alarm growing as Lily's decoded translations revealed their meaning. Vanessa was communicating with someone on the outside, someone who had access to information about Lily's school schedule and activities. "You've been monitoring her accounts?" he asked, torn between concern for her safety and worry about her methods. "After what she said in court?" "Yeah." Lily didn't look apologetic. "I wrote a program that flagged suspicious patterns in her communications. This triggered an alert this morning." Nathan reached for his phone. "I'm calling Detective Morrison." "Wait." Lily placed her hand over his. "There's more." She switched to another screen, displaying what appeared to be financial records. "I traced the unknown account. It belongs to someone named James Brooks, Vanessa's brother." "She doesn't have a brother." Nathan frowned. "She does, according to these records," Lily insisted, "and he made 3 cash withdrawals of exactly $5,000 each over the past week. That's just under the reporting threshold for banks." Nathan stared at her in astonishment. "Lily, What you're doing, it's not exactly legal. Neither is planning a kidnapping, she countered. Which is what I think they're doing. The messages reference extraction and transportation scheduled for tomorrow, during my field trip to the Science Museum. The blood drained from Nathan's face. You're not going on that field trip. If I don't go, they'll just make another plan, Lily argued. But if we know what they're doing, we can catch them. Absolutely not, Nathan declared. I'm not using you as bait. It's not about being bait, it's about stopping them for good. Lily's expression was determined. As long as Vanessa is plotting, we'll never be safe. This is our chance to end it. Nathan ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. She was right, but the risk was unacceptable. There had to be another way. Let me call Elena, he decided, and Detective Morrison. We'll figure this out together. Hours later, after intense discussion with law enforcement, a plan had been formulated. Lily would attend the field trip, but with plainclothes officers posted throughout the museum. Detective Morrison would personally stay by her side, posing as a parent volunteer. Nathan would monitor everything from a surveillance van outside. I don't like this, Nathan confessed to Elena as they watched Lily work with the detective to memorize emergency protocols. Neither do I, Elena admitted. But Morrison is right. If we cancel the trip, they'll just try again somewhere else, possibly somewhere we're not prepared. When did my life become a crime thriller? Nathan sighed. 1 minute I'm worried about billion-dollar acquisitions. The next, I'm planning counter-kidnapping operations. Elena smiled sympathetically. Welcome to parenthood. It's all high-stakes operations. The word parenthood still gave Nathan pause. Was that what this was? Was he truly becoming a father to Lily? The thought both terrified and exhilarated him. There's something else I wanted to discuss with you, he said quietly, ensuring Lily was out of earshot. I've been thinking about adoption, making things permanent. Elena's expression softened. I wondered when we'd have this conversation. It's a big step, Nathan. I know. That's why I wanted your opinion. You've seen us together these past months. Do you think, would it be good for her? I think, Elena said carefully, that Lily has already decided you're her family. The legal part is just catching up to reality. Nathan nodded, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. After this is over, after she's safe, I'll talk to her about it. One crisis at a time, Elena agreed with a gentle smile. Let's get through tomorrow first. As the evening wound down, Nathan found Lily in her room, organizing her backpack for the field trip. Despite everything, she seemed calm, methodical in her preparations. All set for tomorrow? He asked from the doorway. Lily nodded. I'm not scared, you know. Detective Morrison knows what she's doing. I know. Nathan entered, sitting on the edge of her bed. But I'm allowed to worry. It's in the Guardian handbook. That earned him a small smile. Is there really a handbook? There should be, he replied, returning her smile. Lily, I want you to promise me something. If anything feels wrong tomorrow, anything at all, you signal Detective Morrison immediately. Don't try to handle things yourself. I promise, she said solemnly. Nathan, thank you for believing me about the messages. Always, he assured her. You and me, we're a team now. That means we trust each other. Lily's smile widened. The billion-dollar team. Worth way more than that, Nathan corrected her, feeling a surge of protectiveness. Tomorrow would test them both, but they would face it together, just as they had faced everything since that fateful night outside Gino's restaurant. The Science Museum bustled with excited children and watchful adults. Detective Morrison, dressed in casual clothes, stayed within arm's reach of Lily as her class moved from exhibit to exhibit. Through a nearly invisible earpiece, Nathan could hear every word exchanged, his heart racing whenever Lily moved out of camera range momentarily. Relax, Elena advised from beside him in the surveillance van. Morrison has her covered, and there are officers at every exit. I'll relax when this is over, Nathan muttered, eyes fixed on the monitors. An alert sounded on one of the screens. A facial recognition match, James Brooks, identified entering the museum's east wing. Nathan's adrenaline spiked as he relayed the information to Morrison. "Copy that," came her calm reply. "We have visual, proceeding with the plan." The class was now entering the space exhibition, a cavernous hall filled with rocket replicas and interactive displays, perfect for a child to disappear in the crowd. Nathan watched as Morrison casually guided Lily toward a predetermined position where two plainclothes officers had clear sightlines. James Brooks moved through the exhibits, appearing to study the displays while steadily drawing closer to Lily's group. Nathan's knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the console. "There's a second subject," one of the officers reported, "female approaching from the west entrance." The camera swiveled to reveal a woman Nathan didn't recognize. She wore the uniform of the museum staff, complete with an ID badge that was undoubtedly fake. "They're coordinating," Nathan realized, "closing in from both sides." No. The next few moments unfolded with heart-stopping speed. James Brooks suddenly lunged forward, creating a disturbance that drew attention away from Lily. In that instant of chaos, the woman in the staff uniform moved directly toward the child. "Now!" Morrison commanded over the radio. Officers converged from all directions. James Brooks was tackled to the ground mid-stride. The woman froze, then turned to flee, only to find her path blocked by two more officers. In the surveillance van, Nathan watched with a mixture of relief and lingering fear as the suspects were handcuffed and led away. Lily remained safe, huddled close to Detective Morrison. "It's over," Eleanor said softly, placing a hand on his arm. "They got them." Nathan released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "I need to see her." Within minutes, he was inside the museum, pushing through the crowd of confused onlookers. When Lily spotted him, she broke free from Morrison's side and ran to him. Nathan caught her in a fierce embrace, lifting her clear off the ground. "You're okay," he murmured, as much to reassure himself as her. "You're safe." "I told you it would work," she said against his shoulder, her voice muffled but triumphant. Nathan set her down, examining her face for any sign of trauma or distress. Finding none, he turned to Detective Morrison. "Thank you for everything." The detective nodded. "We'll need statements from both of you, but it can wait until tomorrow. Preliminary questioning confirms our suspicions. Vanessa orchestrated the whole thing from prison. With this evidence, she'll be facing additional charges." "Will she ever stop?" Lily asked quietly. Morrison's expression softened. "She won't have the opportunity. We've seized all her communication channels, and she's being transferred to a higher security facility." As they left the museum under police escort, Nathan felt a profound sense of closure. For months, Vanessa's threat had loomed over them like a shadow. Now, finally, that shadow was lifting. Back at the penthouse, after the statements had been given and the security team dismissed, Nathan found Lily in the living room, curled up with her favorite programming book. She looked up as he entered. "I'm going to build a better security system," she announced. "One that can detect threats before they even form." Nathan smiled, sitting beside her. "I have no doubt you will. But maybe tomorrow. Tonight, I think we both deserve a break." She nodded, closing the book. "Can we have ice cream for dinner?" "Just this once," he agreed, unable to deny her anything after the day they'd had. As they sat together later, sharing ridiculous amounts of ice cream and watching Lily's favorite science documentary, Nathan gathered his courage. "Lily, there's something I wanted to ask you." She looked at him expectantly, a smudge of chocolate on her chin. "These past months, having you here, it's changed everything, for the better. I was wondering," he paused, suddenly nervous, "how would you feel about making this arrangement permanent? Legally permanent, I mean." Lily's eyes widened. "You mean adoption?" "Yes," Nathan confirmed, "if you want that. There's no pressure, and if you need time to think about it—" "Yes," she interrupted, her face breaking into a radiant smile. Yes, I want that. You're sure? It's a big decision. Lily set down her ice cream bowl and fixed him with that serious gaze he'd come to know so well. Nathan, you saved me, not just from being homeless, but from being alone. And I saved you too, right? In more ways than you know, he admitted softly. Then we belong together, she said simply, as if it were the most obvious conclusion in the world. That's what family is, people who save each other. Nathan felt a lump form in his throat, unexpected emotion making it difficult to speak. This brilliant, resilient child had walked into his life by chance and taught him more about what really mattered than all his years of chasing success ever had. I have one condition, though, Lily added, suddenly businesslike. Nathan raised an eyebrow, amused by her shift in tone. And what's that? I want to keep my mom's last name. I can add yours too, like a hyphen, Lily Morales Reed, so I don't forget her. Of course, Nathan agreed immediately. We'll never let you forget her. Lily nodded, satisfied. Then, with the mercurial mood changes of childhood, she bounced up from the couch. Can we call Elena and tell her, and can we have a party when it's official? With that chocolate cake from the bakery near your office? Nathan laughed, his heart lighter than it had been in months, perhaps in his entire adult life. Yes to all of it, whatever you want. As Lily ran to get the phone, Nathan glanced around the penthouse that had once felt so empty, now filled with books and toys and the unmistakable energy of childhood. His empire had nearly crumbled, only to be saved by a little girl who had asked for nothing more than a blanket in return. In saving his fortune, she had given him something infinitely more valuable, a family. And in the grand ledger of his life, Nathan Reed counted himself, at last, truly rich.